What's up, everybody? Kevin here. It's a Tuesday morning, freshly after a thunderstorm here in Middle Tennessee. Hope you made it all right. Ran me a little late this morning, but anyway, if you're in the comments already, let me know. I see Dr. McFarland here. Nathan is here, so say hello in the comments. It's really the only way I can tell that you're here because of what I'm looking at, which is just a screen with a big number on it. The number says 7, so it means 6 of you haven't said hello yet. Don't be rude, okay? Now, so this morning I wanted to talk to you a little bit about comping. What's up, Carl? Long time no see. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about comping this morning. I was going to share some tips with you about that. But I wanted to refresh your memory. One time, a couple weeks ago, I did, I think it was just a little over a week ago, I did an SSL training where I mixed with only the SSL channel strip. And after the fact, there was a way that you could buy the downloads and watch the replays, and that is going away soon. So I wanted to just make sure that you knew about that. Let's see if I can. Here we go. It's the All Access Bundle Live, where I've actually categorized everything. I actually did a what do you call it, a transcription, so you can actually go in there and you say, I know he said something about a de-esser, and you can just spell de-esser and it'll pull up all the videos that I mentioned de-esser in. So it's actually pretty handy. What's up, Joe and Cliff? Good to see you guys. I don't know if I have seen some of you guys. Some of you guys are new. That's awesome. I was just telling everybody about the SSL channel strip. So you get all the wanted to cover all this public service announcement here. You'll get the all the downloads. So you get the session download with all the audio files. You'll get the Pro Tools session that I ended up with, and then you'll also get the mix that I ended up with, which is all through an SSL channel strip, even on the master bus compressor. And then there's several checklists that I mentioned too that you have access to here, and it's all access bundle, and I'm doing nothing but just adding to it as we go. So now's a good chance to get it. It's $47, and that price at the end of this sale, or at the end of this week, the sale, which will be Friday at midnight, the price it'll be coming down. Won't be available in this form anymore, and the price will be, I'm turning it into another course, and if you get it, you'll get access to that course too. So anyway, I just wanted to make you guys aware of it for those of you who haven't bought it. If you have, thank you so much. Really helps, and really helps support my channel and everything. Little Rock, Arkansas. Is it V or Vi? Peoples. Good to see you. Okay, so let's see. What was I going to? I was going to mention one other thing to you. Oh, you know what? I'm about to do something really kind of fun, and that is I'm about to do a 30-day YouTube thing where I will post a video every day, and it's going to be short tips. I mean, like, these are the kind of tips that I look for when I need to know what is the shortcut for doing this. I want to find a video that's not a minute. It's not going to be a short necessarily. It's going to be in the wide format, so it's easy for you to see the screen and everything. But they'll be just a few minutes long, and it'll get straight to the point. MixCoach, I don't even know what to call it yet, but it's going to be stuff on there. But if you have things that you would like to see, like you would like to see me cover, please let me know somehow. You can post in the comment section here, or you can actually go to, let me pop it in the comments here. There is a form, if I can find my mouse, there is a form that you can use, and I'll give you a link right here. It's http mixcoach.com/survey. This is an old survey that I did, but there's this place in there where it asks you what kind of content you'd like to see me cover more. So click that link if there's anything in particular that you want me to cover. My plan right now is to cover some EQ tricks, some reverb tricks, some actually mix mindset tricks, even some more SSL channel strip tricks. And if I've mentioned anything before, or you want me to refresh something, comment down there on that mixcoach.com/survey. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon, maybe as early as this week. So I would appreciate you guys just saying hello in the comments when you see those things pop up. Okay. Mr. Morpheus, what's up? Let the lesson begin. All right, cool, man. Let's see, Zona Recording Studio. Are you in Arizona, Zona, or Zona your name? That's cool. Let me know. Hey, okay, so let's get to the comping thing. Okay, I'm gonna go back to here, and so let's talk about comping. Okay, so some of you guys say, why would you want to comp a vocal? And I noticed Dr. McFarland said in the beginning he loves comping vocals, and so do I. So here's the reason that I like to comp vocals. I think that it creates a ton of momentum. When you have singers that come to your studio, or even yourself, if you're recording yourself, it even applies even more. You're nervous. You're wondering if you're going to live up to what people's expectations are. You're wondering if you're going to be able to hit the notes, whether your pitch is going to be good, whether your voice is going to crack and you're going to sound like a frog. And the best thing you can do in any situation like that is just to create momentum, because movement creates a lot of energy. And I do this. I wish I could even hack my brain into do this when it comes to stuff that doesn't pertain to mixing, but this creates a lot of momentum. So here's what you can say. You can say, this is what I did last week. You can say, hey, this pass is for me. I'm going to check and see if I get this mic preamp set up good. I'm going to check a little EQ and stuff. You put all the pressure on you, and then but then you say, I want you to sing it from front to back, just like you would perform it normally, because that's how I'm going to get my levels. You're switching all of the responsibility to yourself, and that takes all the pressure off of them, because now when they're in the studio and they're singing their heart out and they think you're listening to their every word, they're going to be real nervous. So the best thing that you can do is just to say, I'm not even listening to you. It's like you're singing in the shower. I mean, you don't say that, because, we all know that's not true. But you just get them to sing, and then you record that pass. Even if you're tweaking it up, you record that pass. And then you may even want to try that again and say, hey, can I get one more? And then what you start to see is, for yourself, is you start to see where the spots are that may need a little attention later. You don't call attention to them just yet, but this creates momentum, and you get them into that whole movement thing, which creates an energy and a trust thing that you're not going to stop them in the middle of a word, because there's nothing more frustrating to me. I have sung for people, and I have had people sing for me, and I've worked for other producers that have done this, where they'll stop in the middle of them and they go, hey, let's do that again. To me, that creates this this urgency on their part to go, oh my gosh, I am not measuring up to this. So the best thing you can do is just get that momentum going. And what momentum starts to breed is confidence. Confidence that, because you have an opportunity at the end of each pass to go, hey man, that was really good. There's just a couple of spots where that we need to work again. My little screen went away. So it just creates this momentum and this confidence that you can't really duplicate many other ways. And the last thing that it does, the reason you want to do vocals, I'm going to cover some tips here in just a second on the screen, but the end result is you just get better vocals, because you're getting a hybrid of you being meticulous about certain phrases, the way you want them, or if they're truly just aren't getting something right, you have the potential to go, let's work on this section for a second. I want to work on just this phrase here, because chances are when they're singing, they're going to sing it the same way most every time, which shows you what people's abilities are and where they're going to fall short, and where you can help them. It helps smooth out the vocal a little bit. So it just creates better vocals, because how many other ways can you say, I feel like the S on the end of promises is a little weak. Can we just get the S on promises at the very last phrase, the very last S? I mean, nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's going to be able to do that. But when you're comping a vocal, you have several passes that you can choose from and say, I would have never normally picked the back half of a word, but they sang the back half of this word different and better than they did on this, and you merge them together. And again, it's just a self-feeding cycle that creates more momentum, and it creates more trust, and it creates more confidence. All the magic sauce that it takes to get good vocals. So that's why I comp vocals. I would love to know from you guys who do comp vocals, why do you comp? I'm going to go back and check the comments real quick while we're here, and then I'm going to show you a couple of tips that I have for you. Okay. Huntington, Long Island. Zona is in Huntington, Long Island. Zona is your last name. That's a cool last name. I was telling somebody at lunch on Sunday that I used to want my name to be Steve, and they laughed. They thought it was funny. So I might want my name to be Steve Zona, and I hope that's not your name. If it is, it's a totally accident. But anyway, hey, let me know why you guys comp vocals. Is there a reason that I'm missing or have forgotten about or don't even know about the reason you are comping vocals? I'm just curious to know. Okay, so better vocals, and let's go to the comping tips. Okay, let me share my screen with you real quick. I'm going to get rid of this guy, that familiar face there. Okay, so I've got a session that I've done recently, and I wanted to show you one tip. So what you're normally going to see in Pro Tools, now this is the same way in pretty much any DAW that you're going to work in. You're going to see, let me move myself over there. You're going to see a way to see lanes of takes or comps. And so what I would recommend you doing, instead of this is the thing that holds me up sometimes. In Pro Tools, if I were to do let's just say Jesse Vox, if I were to do another like duplicate or new, what it's going to do is it's going to give it a number here, ask me to name it, and then hit OK. And then it's going to clear it out, and then I'm going to be able to start fresh again. And then I'm going to have to remember when I go back in here which waveform it was or which one it was that I use. And the top playlist is going to be Jesse Vox .01. So it's going to be an extension of the name. What I would rather do is just to go back and from this playlist where it just says Jesse Vox. And then what I do is I open up this waveform here to where it goes to playlist. And now you see all the takes that I do. But if you notice at the very bottom, there's an empty lane all the time. And if you notice, that empty lane is the one I just created. You don't have to use that name. You can actually name them in ways that make sense to you. You can say Jesse Vox .great verse, or Jesse Vox -flat, or Jesse Vox . I wouldn't go negative because people are going to see this stuff. But here's what I would do. I would just go ahead and record on the main Jesse playlist, and then when you get to the end of it, when you get to the end of the take, you can just grab the take. Let me do that. I've got this saved, so hopefully I won't mess up anything. But you can actually take the whole take and just pull it straight down to that playlist. So now you've got an empty playlist, and it's still named Jesse Vox to you. And then what you do is when you do the last playlist, when you comp things, which I'm going to show you how I do it in just a second, then what you've got it is from top to bottom, you've got it in the order that you did it. If you drag them in that order, if you drag it to the bottom every time, they're in the order. So you can say that first take was a warm-up take, that second take was getting there, the third take, fourth take, and fifth take, those are money. So we're going to actually listen to these first and listen to these last. So you can actually go here, solo that playlist, and you can just listen to that. Okay, so don't use the create new playlist. Just open the playlist and drag the new performance to a playlist. That's what I do. Now you have to be careful. You can't just be willy-nilly about it and pull it down in any order, because you can get it out of order like that. But I think what you can do is you can spot it. You can go up here to hit spot, and I think you can click this, and this right here will pop up, and you should be able to put it back in its place. Original timestamp. Boom, you should be able to do that and hit OK, and it'll pop right back in place. So there's not a ton to lose there, but just be careful when you pull it down. Usually, if you have it in grid mode, usually there's a little bit of license that you can use, and you can go left or right and it won't affect you too much. So the first tip is to open the playlist. Let me see, open the playlist, but don't record there. So open up a new playlist, record on the main track, and then drag all of your new performances down, okay? That's my first. The second thing is after you get everything recorded and now you're going to comp or make a composite vocal, you want to work in small chunks. So let me, I'll show you what I'm doing right here on this Jesse Vox right here. Let's just say I've got that, you've got this one selected. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just select one phrase or two phrases, and that makes it easier to go from take to take to take. And then because if you remember, some of the things that I teach is that your ears have a memory, and that memory sometimes will deceive you. And sometimes the last one feels like the best one, although it wasn't, especially if there's a little time that goes between them. So what I usually do is work in small chunks so that I can see this one phrase and see that there was a difference between all of them. And these are differences that you may not be able to remember or pick up on if you do it in large chunks. So work in small chunks. So I would do no more than this, or certainly probably no more of this, unless the guy you're working with, the artist or the producer, wants to hear the whole verse. But that's the cool thing about doing whole passes at a time, or big sections at a time, is that they will all they'll match. Their phrasing will pretty much match, and you won't have any trouble, and they'll all look pretty normal like this. So work in small chunks. That's lick number two. That's lick number two. That's tip number two. The first tip was to record on the main playlist and drag it down. Second tip is when you get everything recorded and you're ready to go, work in small chunks. And the third one would be learn your shortcuts. So here's what I'll do. A lot of times, if you click let's see if I can, let me turn on my shortcuts. Hang on just a second. I think it's called, I used it on my live the other day. It'll show my keyboard shortcuts. What is that called? Oh, well, I won't worry about it right now. I'll just tell you what it is. So what I'll do is just beside the L, there is a semicolon, or there's a colon and a semicolon, and just above that, there's a P. So if you're on Pro Tools and you've got this AZ, Zona, if you've got this AZ right here on, then that means that there are keyboard shortcuts that you can use exclusively to this window. So if you hit the down, or if you hit the colon/semicolon, oh, it's called Keycaster. Hang on just a second. Keycaster out. All right, so now you should be able to see exactly what I'm hitting, hopefully. Are you able to see it? No. Maybe I'll start. Okay, well, evidently you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, to the right of the L is colon and semicolon. That goes down in the playlist. Let me turn this back on. That goes down in the playlist, and the P that's just above it goes up in the playlist. Okay, so now if you see really close there, I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in, but if you see where the dark spot is, where I've got it selected, there is an up arrow right beside it. So you can actually promote that one from that list. So let's just say you went down here and you decided you wanted to do this one here, and you wanted to promote it. All you have to do is hit this one. If you want to solo it, all you have to do is hit Shift S, and whichever track has been highlighted will be soloed. So if you hit Shift S, that'll solo that track. So what you want to do, oh, the Keycaster is coming up down here, and I can see it, but Shift S will solo the track that you're on. And now if you keep going, so what you can do is you go down and then hit Shift S, and it'll solo that track. Now, I just bought a Stream Deck. If you've never heard of it, you probably should hear about it, because they do a lot more than you think they would do. It's basically a keypad. I've got 15 buttons on mine, but you can actually map these shortcuts to something like that. So you could do, I think you can do down, Shift S, and that'll solo. So now with one button you can hit down, Shift S, and you can download the next one. Which, here's another bonus tip. Make sure that you're in loop mode, okay? Because loop mode is going to loop whatever you're listening to there. So when you hit play, which I'm not going to hit play on this one because this is a project that I'm currently working on, and I haven't gotten people's permission to play this. I'm not going to play it just yet. So you have to just kind of imagine what it sounds like here. But if you say I'm going to solo, I'll solo the piano tracks, but suffice it to say that if you're selected and if you right click on this, you can put it in loop mode and it'll just loop that over and over. So now you've taken 2 or 3 keyboard shortcuts that you don't need to do, which is spacebar and then spacebar again, out of the equation, and it just loops, which, you need to make sure that you loop enough time to where you can hear everything, that you're not, that you can shift the playlist. So now when it loops around one time, now what you can do is you can go up to this playlist, Shift S, and when it loops back around, you hit it down, Shift S, and then when it loops back around, down and Shift S. And then when you pick the right one, what I usually do is I'll usually comment to the producer and say, okay, I'm going to play them in order from top to bottom. I'm going to call them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you just tell me which one you like when we get after the last one. And a lot of times they'll say, okay, it's between 3 and 5. Now you can go up to 3, Shift S, play, and then shift right down to past 5, and let them hear those two side by side. And then usually they'll say something like, I want the first half of 3 and the back half of 5 at the word blah, blah, blah. And this will allow you to go through there pretty quick. So now to advance, I don't know why I can't remember this, but I always have to call my buddy Dan and go, what is the shortcut again for promoting something on a playlist? Okay, so here's the third thing, or the best shortcut I know of. Okay, you know how when it's selected right here, that the track that is selected is the track that you can advance. So we'll take this one, and I'm going to hit Control Option V and watch what happens. It pops the selection, it pops it right up on the track. So now when you get everything done, then you can go up here, which I haven't done yet, and you can actually clean up your punches, you can clean up your edits and things like that. And then you can just close this guy back to waveform, and it still says Jesse Vox. It doesn't say Jesse-1.02. I mean, because in Pro Tools, when you have your tracks here, and you've got this down, a lot of times what you see is mostly numbers. So you don't want to see mostly numbers. So keep those names clean. So anyway, learn your shortcuts. That's number 3. Number 2 was work in small chunks to where your ear can remember exactly the best take that it did here. And number 1 is, what was number 1? Number 1 was open the playlist, but don't advance your playlist. Just pull the tracks down to the playlist. Those are some of my favorite shortcuts. So it looks like there's 11 comments here, and I am curious to hear what you guys say about it. I either get really excited about this, or I get really nervous about this, thinking somebody's telling me we can't hear your mic. Okay, let's see, Mr. Morphus. I comp to R. I'm not sure I know what that means exactly. You have to clarify that a little bit for me. Let's see. I always like to try to get at least 3 takes. Hey, Joe, I think you're dead on right there, because I feel like anything over 3 takes, it takes too long to get, and that's why I usually say, okay, we did 5 takes. The first 2 were kind of warming up, and the last 3 we all felt like we're better than the rest of them. So let's go with these 3. And then if we get in trouble and there's something that we just are not digging on these 3, before we go and do another take, let's go and check 1 and 2. That's usually what I do. So I always try to get exactly 3 takes. I feel like that's the best thing. Let's see. Vi says, I usually will tell an artist that I'm not recording. Shame on you. I do the same thing. And then I'm just adjusting levels a lot of times. I do the same thing, man. Without the pressure of recording on an artist, I get very true feeling from the artist. You're 100% right, Vi. That's exactly what I'll do. You take all the pressure off of them at that point, and they are what they do, especially if it's the first song, is they come in there listening to we absolutely got the best word of every phrase, and it's the best. And usually, they're really excited about that, and they're really excited to do some more vocals. Vi had some more to say here. He said, then I comp takes on top of that to give me the freedom to mix at my discretion, using the first as a guide take. So I'm thinking you kind of like greatest hits, and you're kind of going for you've got it in the can. And here's another thing that you can say to singers to make them even more say, hey, we've got this taken. It is great. We're not losing a thing. Let's try to do this one thing, but this time maybe we can try a little bit more of this or a little less of that. So that's a great way to take things, and it gives people the courage to do things maybe they would normally do. Like maybe they're thinking they want to hit a high note here or do a certain thing on a bridge that they think they can pull off, but they can't do it in one take. Now you've got the whole take in the bag, and say, hey, is there anything that you wanted to try on the second verse that may be like out of the ordinary? This is a great chance to do it, and I think that's great advice, Vi. That's a great thing. Okay, so Colin Kennedy, hi Kevin, I've been a live performer my whole life. Comping allows me to keep aiming for a performance every time and get all the best stuff at the end. It is a tedious process. It is a tedious process. I'll admit that comping vocals, it's a lot easier just to put somebody in front of a mic and say, yep, sounds good to me. And that's the way we used to do it before we had the liberty of not only multiple tracks, but multiple layers of tracks, which is what we do in the comping thing. So yeah, it is tedious and time consuming. And as a singer, Colin, how much pressure it takes off of you to go, well, I didn't get it that time. No big deal. We'll get it the next time. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So Joe's agreeing with you, Vi. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say that I'm actually recording when I tell them I'm not recording. Of course you do, Vi. I mean, you wouldn't be a good producer if you didn't, deceive people a little bit and let them know that you're not recording. But that was an awesome take because, most of the best takes come when they're not even thinking about it. When this is the way my mind works. I feel like when I'm doing something for myself, it's just I think about it too much. But when I'm doing something for somebody else, whether it's teaching somebody a tip or mixing for somebody, and I feel like it's for somebody else, it has a whole new meaning for me. So when you get the singer to do you a favor and sing this just like you would on a live take, they're kind of singing out of, they're serving a little bit, right? They may even be being silly, and they may do something that you really like. So let's see. Recording a vocal with a live band is what I prefer. I think everybody would prefer just a perfect one-take performance. But Zona, you know that sometimes when you are working or developing with people, or when you're developing artists, you have to create that it comes from confidence, and you build confidence by letting them hear really good performances that they've done. So yeah. You may be right here, Joe. You said this seems pretty complicated compared to comping in Reaper. You probably are right, because I haven't comped in Reaper, just because it feels like it is a different methodology of doing it. In Reaper, you can comp everything together and play everything back at one time, and I think that scared me a little too much one time. You know what, Joe? Point me to a good tutorial that you know of that would be comping in Reaper. And maybe if I learn it well enough, I can do it in my series, right? But anyway, what's up, Christopher? Hello to you. Okay, any tips about editing within a phrase? So, Steve, yeah, I mean, within a phrase, are you talking about editing words and little chunks like that? Really, a lot of times what you'll do is you'll see where the words are, and it's pretty easy to see where the words are. But if they don't line up, what I'll typically do is comp it from left to right. In other words, when they start it, comp it, and then if there's a word that you want to replace, then I usually grab the word. And in Pro Tools, now it's got that translucent mode. You can actually pull it up, and you can place the word right over where where it's supposed to be in the previous phrase. So pull the phrase out and then pull the word that you're going to replace, pull it up into the phrase and line it up, and then do a little crossfade. Another thing that if you do S's are really easy to change a word or change a phrase. The S's, it happens so fast, and you would hardly ever hear it unless the S's are extremely different. Like one's a SH and one's a CH or something like that. They're different lengths, different frequencies. But usually, if it's an S, those are really easy to edit. And then what I usually do is I'll just match it together visually. So any other tips than that, I'm not positive about right now. But if I think of them, I'll let you know, Steve. Yes. Hey, great point, Nathan. Dr. McFarland said a great point here. You comp vocal, guitar solos, vocals, and drums. Absolutely. This doesn't just have to be with vocals, although I find that vocals, typically, when I'm doing a project, the musicians that I use are, usually pretty world class. Some of them are pretty world class, and I don't have to worry about comping. Sometimes I'll take a phrase and comp it up. Now, if you're doing drums, what you'll have to do is group things together so that everything will be taken up at the same time. It's a little bit more messy because you've got multiple tracks instead of just one. Doctor, if you want to expand maybe some other time about, or now if it's quick enough, about how you do that with multiple tracks of drums and things like that. So, but that's good. Yes, that's a great point. You don't have to do just vocals, guitar solos, basses, anything like that. Those are great ways to get great performances out of people, for sure. Let's see. Let me read this here. Cliff says, can be helpful extra footage for doubling, stacking, pitch shifting, harmonies, if you dig that sort of thing. Absolutely. So like you can get the best take, and then you can comp the second best take and use it as a double if you want to. That's a great idea. I haven't done that. I typically am not one to double a lead vocal. I'll usually double background vocals, and then usually background vocals, when you do doubles like that, it usually doesn't have to be so dead on. And then I use Melodyne. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. Anytime you can help someone's confidence and not tear down someone's confidence, but fill in someone's confidence by using pitch corrections, stuff like that, if you can get a more confident singer, you'll get a better vocal. And I know some people that are against tuning vocals and things like that and moving things around. Well, they should just sing it right the first time. You've never worked with most vocalists in the world, and and it would help, if you can help them to sound better than just a little better than what they actually are, or them on their absolute best day, then you'll have a client for life. So you said comping in Reaper is fast and easy. Point me to Nathan, I may need you to show me that then, or point me to a good tutorial, because I haven't. I mean, it seems like I fall in love with Reaper, and then I have to come back, and most of what I do is in Pro Tools. Most of the tracks I cut are in Pro Tools, so I will investigate that comping in Reaper though. So, man, thank you guys for being so attentive today and asking questions and answering questions. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time today. Let's see. Don't forget that if you haven't picked up the SSL training, it's on sale to the end of this week, and I would love to have you in that little library of things. I'm just going to be adding to it. So if you haven't gotten it, just go to let's see. I think the link is still. Let me put the other link here. MixCoach.com/SSL live. This will take you to the final sales page for this here, and it'll be going away at the end of this week. Okay. Hey, thank you guys for coming. I saw some new faces here. I'm really glad you're here. And if you get a chance, go and click the /survey and MixCoach.com /survey, and let me know what you want to see. more of, less of, and also give me some bullets to do this daily YouTube thing that I'm going to be doing here in the next few days, hopefully. Zona, I spent some time at Sound Emporium. That's a great studio, man. Raul Malo. Oh, yeah. Raul Malo. Now, I know that name. Anyway, Zona, if you're in Nashville here, I'd love to meet you. Look me up, and we'll have some coffee or something, all right? Okay, well, guys, I am going to wrap it up here, and my wife has the day off, and I am going to run some errands with her and grab some lunch, and then I'm going to come back and work on building out the rest of the. That's what I thought, Mavericks. Yeah, the Mavericks. Man, that was a great group. So I will go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for coming. The trustworthy people that come to all these lives, I really do appreciate it. You know, you think nobody's going to show up for these things, and then you start talking, you realize that there's a lot of people who know a lot of things, and I learn a lot from. So, Tom, thank you, sir. He said, nice job. Appreciate the tips. My pleasure. I hope it helps. Let me know if it does in the comments below this video, okay? All right, guys, well, I'm going to go for now, and I'll be talking to you soon, okay? Have a good day. Bye.